I've learned to slam on the brake before I even turn the key. Before I make the mistake, before I lead with the worst of me. Give them no reason to stare. No slipping up if you slip away. So I got nothing but shit. No, I got nothing to say. Step out of the sun if you keep getting burned. Step out of the sun because you've learned, because you learn. On the outside, always looking will never be more than I've always been. Cause I'm topping on the glass. I'm waving through a window. I try to speak, but nobody can hear. So I wait around for an answer to appear while I'm watching people down. I'm waving through a window. Can anybody see? Is anybody waving back at me?
Good morning. Welcome. You guys are tuning in on Facebook. Good morning. For everyone who is here in the Zoom room, welcome. Thank you so much for joining us this morning. Hello. We have Anne, we have Christina, we have Beta, we have Julie, Linda, Patricia, happy birthday. Rena, welcome to everyone. We have a marathon this morning. So for the next 2 hours, you'll be hearing inspiring stories from entrepreneurs just like me who have had a year full of highs, lows, and major milestones in their businesses. I'm really looking forward to sharing our stories and also discovering so much more about ourselves through this experience. It's been amazing to catch up with my friends who I participated in the mastery program with last year. So, as we get started here, what I will say is if you're tuning in live on Facebook, say hello, chime in, tell us that you're here. One thing that we would love for you to do this morning is share this broadcast. So if you're tuning in live and you click on the share feature on Facebook, we'll be able to inspire more people through this broadcast. Welcome, welcome, welcome. So you might be curious, why are we showing up and sharing this morning? And it really is because I got the memo to show up and share. Showing up and sharing is really the foundation of where it all starts. And it's where it started last year when we stepped into a program called Business Mastery. Now, for those of you who don't know me, my name is Julia Armet. I'm the founder of Higher Playbook. And I'm like the conductor of a well-orchestrated production of purposeful people. We do it frequently where we come together and we share the impactful work that we're up to in the world. In case you are tuning in now for the first time and you've never seen a Higher Playbook collective production before, really what we do is we put on virtual productions using the power of Zoom technology and then our extended network in social media's World Wide Web. Now, to get you all up to speed, the next 2 hours is a marathon of mastery. It's a celebration of an event that happened a year ago called Virtual Masterpiece, where a group of us came together for a mid-September night stream, which was part brand showcase, part product launch, and part philanthropic event for a cause that we care about, which is the Born This Way Foundation. And the special event was a result of an 8-hour mastery program where we harnessed our collective energies and built our individual businesses. And in the process, we inadvertently got inspired to do something that the World Wide Web doesn't see enough of, and that's social entrepreneurship. So social entrepreneurship in action is essentially what we did when we came together for the virtual masterpiece. We put on a demonstration of how to impact people, how to impact the planet, and how to make money in the process. So if you're really curious about what that looks like, here's a little overview of what a virtual masterpiece was. It was a 2-hour brand showcase where we each presented our business concepts. We sold $1,600 worth of our services over that 2-hour time frame. And then we donated half of those proceeds to creating a kinder, braver world for our youth. Now, this was all possible because we united behind one powerful publicity strategy, and we channeled our collective influence to bring together our network of friends, family. And now, flash forward a year, we're celebrating the anniversary of this event. And I'm personally celebrating the people who I had the pleasure of working with during the 8 weeks in the mastery program. Everyone dedicated themselves to learning the hard skills to succeed in today's economy. But more than that, they did the deep work of uncovering their personal passion and unique purpose, connecting that to the professional work that they do in the world. And over the past year, I've proudly watched as they've stepped into their business aspirations. So truly, it's a celebration of all of us. And although there are 5 people joining us today, there were 9 people in total who participated in the virtual masterpiece program. So I want to celebrate everyone who was a part of that, not just the 5 who are present today. Those who are present today, though, are here to share how their businesses have evolved over the past year. They'll be sharing where they are, they'll be sharing where they are headed, along with who they've become through this journey of entrepreneurship. And we're here to do the one thing that makes all the difference for anyone who has an aspiration of impact, which is show up and share honestly and openly. That's all we do, show up and share. And today, as we share our highs, our lows, and major milestones, it's my pleasure to welcome you to Mastery. I invite anyone here who is curious about Mastery to consider the impact that you're creating in the world. So in your watching of this production, realize that more than the inspiring stories of the people who you are watching, this is really an opportunity for you to get curious about who you are and what impact you're making in the world. So with that said, we will get started. So Business Mastery led us here. Business Mastery is an ongoing journey. And while we step through the gateway into mastery together, our individual paths have brought us in different directions. We've each in the process discovered our own keys to mastery. And those are life lessons that are extremely personal to each of us. And I'm excited to have everyone join me today in sharing theirs. Now, there's something that I always go back to anytime I want to remind myself of what it takes to be successful in any endeavor, in any industry, in any arena of your life. And that's the discipline for passion. Everybody remembers the Academy Award winning moment when Lady Gaga got up on stage and she said, "There's a discipline for passion." And what she was talking about, in my eyes, is mastery. Mastery is a mindset. Mastery is a way of being. Mastery is an approach to life where you recognize the power of your being and coming from a consciousness in every decision that you make. When you are making decisions in business, especially, being able to consider, who am I being in every moment? And how is this moment going to benefit not just myself, but everyone around me? And so this idea of mastery is a foundational value to the work that we do here at Higher Playbook. And everyone who participated in the mastery program literally mastered not just their being, but more than that, they mastered the essential skills to succeed in the online world of business. So as you look at these skills of strategic planning, communication, content design, user experience, publicity, sales strategy, facilitation, and production, realize every single person who is participating today has dedicated themselves to mastering these skills in their own businesses. It's very well demonstrated as well through this production that we're putting on today with the Mastery Marathon. The strategic planning that went into the past 2 weeks, the communications of us presenting this story when we did our marketing, along with the communications happening live during this experience, the content design of the collateral that you're looking at right now, the user experience of how you got from being in the World Wide Web to being in this circle of people right now as you watch this production, the publicity that went into having people arrive at this event, along with the strategy that goes into individuals sharing their products, goods, services, and experiences. You'll be impressed with the experiences that each person who is here today has facilitated. And you're going to be seeing their facilitation in action through some of the different things that they'll be showcasing during our 2 hours together. And then beyond that, this whole production in the next 2 hours is really a testament to what happens when people come together, with a purpose, and people come together who have shared values. It's really beautiful synergy. And it's my pleasure to welcome our first master. We have Sarah Isley. So I'll be bringing up Sarah in a moment, but I would love to really recognize Sarah first for who she is and really what she's created over the past year. Sarah Isley is the creator of Hotel Catalea, a travel service for families to come together and share community experiences. She was inspired by her desire to raise her daughter Catalea to see the world with empathy and curiosity. And she conceptualized this idea of Hotel Catalea, realizing that travel would be the medium. She curates connective travel experiences for families with young children to enjoy positive memories together. And in doing so, she's cultivating a more united and joyful society. She'll be sharing a video of the work that she did during her Hotel Catalea proof of concept. To celebrate Sarah's hard work, a few things that I really want to highlight. Between the time that Sarah went through our mastery program last year and today, she's launched a successful proof of concept, bringing people together for a connective travel experience in Arizona, which is a beautiful event. She's built tremendous brand visibility on social media platforms, including Clubhouse. And along with that, her website, it's top notch. So if anybody goes to www.hotelcatalea.com, thehotelcatalea.com, you'll be able to see more what Sarah has created on her online platform. With that said, we have Sarah here. So I'll be bringing up Sarah right now to really share what she's been up to on both a personal and professional level. So let's welcome Sarah. Hi.
Hey, Julia.
How you doing?
Good. So good to see you. You look beautiful.
Thank you. You do too. I feel like this is more between you and me in terms of catching up, because we've spoken a little bit about how your proof of concept went, but it hasn't ever happened where we really sat down and looked at what it took to make that possible. And for those who have never met you before and even heard about your concept, I want to really open up this conversation from this vantage point of it really started out as a vision. So when you think back to last year at this time and you consider this vision that you had of Hotel Catalea, what was the vision then? And how does the experience now compare to it?
Well, what a good question. So I love that question because the quick answer is that the experience that we just did was actually above and beyond what I had imagined. It was everything that I wanted. The in between was a whole lot of emotional ups and downs, and just trying to figure out how to pull this off. And we did learn a lot of lessons. So it was definitely a learning experience. But what I really learned at this experience and somehow managed to do was pull together all of the right people, the kind of people that enjoy or are looking for that sense of community and growth and learning from each other. And everyone brought something so beautiful to the table, and it was just an amazing connective group. And so really learning that is exactly, it confirmed exactly what my vision was. And doing this experience gave me a lot of clarity around actually caring about the people that we bring to our experiences. And then there's the logistics side. And so that was also an important lesson to learn. But it was a beautiful thing. Yeah.
What Sarah's talking about is a real world experience that she did in Arizona, where she brought people together to experience what community feels like. Community in a space that isn't their home, but rather it's a travel destination. And I'm going to play a video so that everybody can actually understand a little bit more of what Hotel Catalea is. Let's pull this up.
Anne, I see you in the chat. Anne actually was one of the amazing people that came to help us pull this experience together. She's also in the travel industry. And so it was really amazing to have her there as well.
Amazing. So let's share the screen. Wow. Sarah, congratulations. That truly is amazing.
Thank you. I do want to point out that didn't all happen in Arizona. That video was one that's been throughout my travels to capture the ethos of Hotel Catalea, but there was definitely some clips in there.
Definitely. So everybody sees that and we're like, wow, how did you do it? Though I want to specifically look at the how from the lens of the brave steps that made it possible. I know your personal story and you can feel free sharing as much as you want to share. But if you could just tell people some of those brave steps that you took from the past year in relocating your family to make this happen, I'd love for you to just share that with our audience.
Thank you. Wow. So it feels like it's been 5 years because a lot has happened. And it is a long story, so I want to choose carefully what I talk about. But seeing that we came together as entrepreneurs, one thing I do want to say is this isn't me starting as an entrepreneur. This is me transitioning as an entrepreneur. I've been in entrepreneurship my whole life. My whole family is a group of entrepreneurs. That's always the way that they've gone. And one thing I've seen throughout is a lot of stress. So when I met you and when I joined Mastery, my goal was really to figure out how to become an entrepreneur doing something that I love, without all of the stress, without this, hustle and grind all the time culture, and you've got to hate what you do before you love it and that type of thing. So that led me to look inward, especially in this past year since Mastery, because what I've realized over this year is it truly is about who you are as a person. Um, Whether it's wanting to accomplish what you want to accomplish, you have to be the person that you need to be to do that. And for me, I have to be the person that can do that with peace. And so the moves that I've made really in the past year, there's been a lot of ups and downs. There's been some amazing highs and some incredible lows. We moved the entire family from Washington to Colorado. We've been on quite a few trips. But really, it's all been the journey of figuring out who I can be, who I'm going to be, to really make Hotel Catalea something that can touch a lot of lives and break a lot of boundaries. And one thing that I've discovered for me personally through this journey in the last year is that it can't be about money for me. This is yes, me trying to make a living doing something I love, but also this is so much bigger than that. And it's not as simple as marketing or branding or anything like that. And I think the thing that this last experience, or our first experience, proof of concept, really taught me is that it's about the people. 100% is about the people for me, no matter what I'm doing and how that's impacting people and how they're impacting me. Because this business, this time around, it's as much for me and for what I get from it, what I learn from it, as it is for anybody that I'm serving.
Amazing. And knowing how much heart you put into this, because it really did start with this deep ache that knew that there was something more, this deep knowingness that you wanted to live a joyful life and that you wanted to experience more connection. And you followed that. You followed that feeling. And that feeling is what allowed for you to arrive at that special moment of creating that. And I want to say this, especially because I feel like a lot of the time when people step into a purposeful career, they don't actually know what their vision is. And for you, a big part of what I saw in your own journey was being so connected to the feeling and clarifying the vision in the process. Hotel Catalea was literally conceptualized through Sarah sitting with me, sitting with others, and clarifying what does it look like to take everything that she values and combine it into one vision. So in the spirit of that, what I would love to hear from you is, what would you tell someone in this room who knows that they are called to do something different and yet they don't have a vision?
I would tell them to go through the process of finding it, because that's really what it was for me. When I joined you, when I met you, I had no idea. Like, this wasn't even I mean, I knew that I loved to travel. I knew that, that would be something that I think that I would love to do, but I knew I didn't want to be a travel agent. There's so many travel jobs I didn't want to do. And I didn't feel qualified. And so really being able to go through your process, which was an amazing process, to not only find the vision, but find your own qualifications. Because we all have them. We all have them for that thing that we love. We just don't realize it. We often look outside of ourselves and see somebody else is doing something, that we wish we could do, but we don't feel like we can. So what you really did was let us through that like, find it and then believe you can do it and take the steps. And then, like you always say, show up and share, which is something I'm still working on, but the sharing part. But yeah, it's really important not to just latch on to somebody else's vision, or latch on. Sorry, I know the lighting got crazy there. Sorry about that. It's natural light. Let me. But yeah, it's important not to just rush the vision part, I would say.
Totally. And the beautiful part is the picture became reality. And you have many upcoming events. So what I am curious about is, for anyone who is so intrigued by Hotel Catalea, what's in the works moving forward?
Well, I'm working on a product I'm excited about to release. You'll check through Hotel Catalea, get on our mailing list, because that's going to be released soon. We also are planning some experiences for 2022. And one of the things I'm most excited about is partnering with some people, specifically Anne from the Voluptuary. And we're going to put our travel expertise together, which is really what I love because it really is about collaboration and people, like I said. So we'll have a list of our 2022 experiences up by the end of this month. And then we're just going to keep going from there. But really, I'm kind of leaning towards calling them family retreats because they're so much more than just a vacation, to Disney World or, staying in an Airbnb by yourself. This is really a retreat style. People pay so much for masterminds and wellness retreats, but I've never seen that with the kids taken into consideration. Bring your family, because I believe, like, more than ever, this is something that I've never wavered on, is that our kids, we don't realize that it's all starting from the day that they're born. So, as adults, we realize the importance of self-care and of connection, interaction, growth, learning from others, being in the right environment. But what about our kids? And that's what I want to create, because when we raise kids with more of those intentionalities, and we create more spaces for kids to have that same experience that we crave as adults, I believe we will create a better world.
Amazing. Your mission is so powerful. I'm so inspired. I know everyone here who's watching you are inspired. We've got Molly saying yes, getting some love from Hannah. Hi, Hannah. Hannah is another participant in our mastery program. It's really wonderful, Sarah, to have you here today. And I am going to bring you back down. I'm going to bring up Beta in a moment. Thank you so much, Sarah.
Yeah, thank you, Julia. So great to be back with you all.
Awesome. Wow. For everybody who's watching, if you're tuning in on social media and you're inspired by Sarah, tell us what you're inspired by. I'd love to hear what really struck you about Sarah's story. There's many more stories to come. And as we prepare to bring up Beta, we are transitioning now. Thank you for your patience. So it's my pleasure to introduce Beta Puyafar. Beta is a certified energy leadership coach with a unique approach to leading from the core, the center of who we are, where we feel a sense of home in our hearts. Beta has been practicing as a life coach for the past 12 years and leading her famous retreats in the Catskill Mountains of New York. Since COVID hit, she had the calling to create community and start leading group sessions over Zoom to serve her community of Persian women. On top of all that, Beta is an interior designer, and she has been for the past 18 years. She specializes in designing kitchens that beautifully function as the core heart of your home. And she inspires all of us in how we foster a sense of home within ourselves. It really starts from the inside out, and we are so grateful to have Beta in our community. To highlight some of Beta's mastery milestones, Beta successfully launched her first group program at the end of the summer of last year. And over the course of the year, it was ongoing, one program after the next. And she really modeled that beautiful mastery mindset. Her programs were evolving, and she was learning through each program that she did. Her high and highlight was the 7th level retreat that she did in the Catskills. Opening that up after COVID was definitely a beautiful moment. And really being able to, in the process of this past year, create a community, not just in the real world, but online too. It's really beautiful to see how Beta was able to create the same sense of community that she's always been able to create in real life in the virtual world. So it is my pleasure to welcome Beta Puyafar. Hi. Hi, Beta.
Hi, can you hear me? I hope, yes, here we are.
Hi.
Hello.
There's so much to celebrate. And at the same time, when we were considering what we were going to talk about today, we really wanted to be honest and we wanted to come from the truth of entrepreneurship. So, one of the things that I know is it's always a practice. It's always a practice of doing something, seeing the response, doing something again, seeing a different response. So, for you, given how many programs you facilitated over the past year, I would love to hear in your perspective what happened once you left the mastery program.
Great question. A lot happened, not exactly the way I would have assumed it to happen, but I have to say, universe has a way of making things work better than you think you know. So um, I was really called to share the consciousness about 7 levels of energy and how we are really attracting things to our own life. And I just wasn't sure how. I knew I wanted to make it in a way that it's digestible, easy to grasp, and easy to apply. I didn't want it to be just another knowing or something that we just kind of use as a lip service and talk about, but really apply what we know. So this idea of doing a 28-day of gratitude practice in a group via Zoom with weekly sessions. Meanwhile, everyone is doing the same practice every day. And so it was really, it was the best thing that I didn't even imagine, but I could do. So gratitude we're all familiar with, but this was more than that. It was really going deeper into our, not intellectually and like in mantras or powerful, sentences saying gratitude statements, but really feeling it deeply in your heart, in your being, with every cell of your body. And so the practice transformed all of us in a way that we can naturally go high in energy. It was really like an elevator, a shortcut to be lifted up in energy. And so from there, I had a really great chance to introduce all different levels and what happens at each level and bring in all the influencers. And so it was really a great portal into looking from a good place, feeling good, being in gratitude, and seeing everything and applying it meanwhile at the same time. So really brought awareness with ease, which was a great experience.
One thing I just want to highlight as you guys feel Beta's energy and you are just in awe of how embodied you are as a practitioner. Beta never used the virtual technology prior to mastery. And yet now, as you feel her presence and you are able to even feel the power of her facilitation and being able to put on the 28 days of gratitude, it was because of her consistency. It was because of not just the mastery of her presence, but really the mastery of hard skills to be able to take such a spiritual vision, a spiritual practice of gratitude, and be able to translate that on a technical level. I'd be curious to hear from you, Beta, from a hard skills perspective, what have been the areas that you've been mastering in that regard?
So actually, I never thought of myself someone that can speak on Zoom and connect the way I've been connecting. I would have never imagined it, honestly. The whole work, with IPEC for me started because I wanted to be a better mother, have better relationships with my children and my husband. I never thought I'll take it this far. It was just a gift that I had to share, and there was a force beyond me that I really wasn't so much in charge, which I know all of us here have felt that and know exactly what I'm talking about. So I really needed this master program that we did together to see and to be seen that I can do it. Honestly, that's in one sentence, that's to see and being seen was the greatest impact that I got. And then everything else we can learn. I was not good with technology, as you know, I'm still not so good. But I'm impressing myself because these are things we can learn, and especially if we have the right environment and the right teacher and the right collaboration and the right group, which exactly was what I needed. And it just came my way. And you know how that happened. The story goes back to how I was looking for you and you showed up. and then everything else is really, it just came together. When there is a will, there is a way. And so it's not so much about how many more people can you reach with that. It's really unlimited. It's unlimited. But I want to say one more thing. Everything aside, all the tools you gave us, which to this day, I love using PicMonkey and really be able to express myself with a beautiful designed collateral. And that's the strategic planning and all the clarity I got, the confidence that I got as we were doing Zoom together. I never did anything on video. I was always like, I'm not doing that. But the most important thing was the fact that I had a role model. It was the way you showed up, the way you did your collateral, the way you created this group that we were all seeing. And from there, this role modeling that you get, that goes beyond all the tools. So just wanted to make sure I say that.
Well, thank you so much. I sit in awe when I experience every facilitator here, every person who is facilitating with me today. It's amazing to learn from you, Bita, and it's amazing to embody more of the peace and the calm and even the love that comes through you every time you show up on these videos. So I feel like it's very karmic and it's very much a cycle. Now, the reality is Bita put in the time. Bita put in the hard work. Even though she talks about the hard skills, like, okay, you can learn, she was up late nights. She was doing everything to overcome the skills gap. And like she says, it is something where you can learn how, but when it comes to it, things like content design, things like user experience, website development, Bita did that on her own. So I want to celebrate that. I also want to celebrate the conceptualizing of the program that really is at the heart of your business, which is the 7th level retreats, along with the inner harmony and outer grace that couples with that. So I'd love to give you a moment to share a little bit more about your 7th level retreats and inner harmony and outer grace.
Right. So I have the blessing of owning a home up in Catskill Mountains in Windham, New York, and it's a magical space. So the retreats that I've had there, they've always ended up being magical in one way or another. So my North Star was to start this program, and the grand finale would be up in Windham as a retreat. And really, it's a portal to experiencing level 7. As we know, level 7 energy is not something intellectual. It's not even connecting to nature even. It's about being that. It's about being and experiencing that level of energy. And the more we get to experience that, the more we know how it feels, so we can do it in our daily lives, not only when we're up in the mountains. And so when a group comes together to do this, and in the past, it was a group that I have not had a chance to hone the way I did this year, between the practice of gratitude, between the training that was inner harmony and outer grace, which is something that just wasn't planned. It was the next phase that naturally I had to go into. And I have to say, the moon and the sky and the sun, everything came together, and this program just happened in such a beautiful way that even now, if I have an issue, like I'm working, like I get a flashback about something that is hard for me to let go, I know I need to go to week 2 of that inner harmony, outer grace, and I listen to myself, and I'm like, wow, I said all this, and I learn from myself. And so that inner harmony, outer grace is a great bridge between the lower levels and the higher levels, where we keep slipping and going back, that we get triggered, and it's hard not to uh, react, and we learn how to respond in our communication with ourselves in stillness, and really come from the core and really clean and clear those things that are barriers in our energy, and so to clear that flow zone. And then when we work on that and we end up in this retreat, that is the 7th level experience. Now it's through some processes, but really just being there, it's that environment, yes, is so conducive to that experience. Time stops, really.
We'll just give them a quick preview of what it looks like in your 7th level retreats.
So just
The preview.
the very, very brief feel for the nature there, really. So
Ultimately, what I want to say, especially for those in the room who have gone through the IPEC program and they recognize what level 7 is, Beta really is a curator of home, a curator of space. And for any coaches here who want to put on a retreat and you want a beautiful destination and a beautiful host, Beta is really here to partner with people to facilitate these experiences. So if you're here and you are really resonating with the energy that Beta is bringing to this conversation, I encourage you to be in touch with Beta. So how can people be in touch with you, Beta?
I can share my phone, my cell phone. I'll be happy to be in touch and collaborate with whatever experience you want to create. We'll be very happy to get whatever it is you want, to whatever it is that you're working on, take it to that level of experience.
Amazing. I'm so glad that you are here today, Vida, and that you could really show people what's possible when you open your mind to new arenas, when you open your mind to new ways of serving. So if you're inspired by Vida and you're watching on social, show Vida some love. I'm going to bring you back to attendee as we prepare for Linda, Vida. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Julia.
It's always just so amazing to just see how everyone brings their uniqueness to their businesses. And the next person is really a thought leader. And this person, Linda Lysing, will be joining us in a moment. I'm just going to get it set up for her.
Now it's all good, babe. What I thought would, babe. But there he goes. This girl's like you, all around the guys like me. The sun down when I come through. I need a girl like you, yeah, yeah. Girls like you, love falling near me. Do what I want when I come through. I need
It is my pleasure to welcome Linda Lysing, who is a certified professional coach an energy leadership practitioner. She helps non mothers in their later fertile years to negotiate their motherhood options and then align themselves with how to create the best life for themselves, whether it includes children or not. Her Ladies Like Us podcast further explores the energy of motherhood potential. What happens when we have a child, and what happens when we don't. Linda's mission is to change the paradigm of motherhood otherhood polarity and fill in the rich spaces in between, one conversation at a time. We'll be sharing more about how Linda lives and breathes this mission. And before we bring up Linda, I'd love to really celebrate some of the milestones. First being the launch of her Ladies Like Us podcast, which is available on your phones. If you go into your Apple podcast, you'll be able to see it. Building her Facebook community for Ladies Like Us as well. It's just a beautiful space for mothers and non-mothers to express their individual stories. And something that I'm extremely proud of every time I see Linda is her visibility. Her story about showing up and sharing is super, super inspiring. And it really is a pleasure to bring up Linda today. Let's welcome Linda. Hi.
Hello. How are you?
I'm good. So good to see you.
So good to see you too. Am I visible?
Beautiful.
Okay, wonderful.
Something that I feel like it's such a theme for all of us. And it's a topic that I know is more than just the face of something. It's more about showing who we really are beyond just how we present, but showing the facets of our identities through the work that we do. And so as you've made this huge movement of Ladies Like Us and have been the face of that brand, what are you really the face of?
That is a fantastic question. It's funny because as you articulated my niche, working with women in their later fertile years, I remember fighting my call, just like any good hero's journey, right? And that I wondered, do I want to be the face of this? Because it sort of was showing struggle, and it was about not having something that you really wanted, right? But I found that the more I deepened into it, the more I showed up and shared, the more vulnerable I got, the more empowered I felt, for one. But also just in terms of, it wasn't just about motherhood, right? It's about for me, existential confidence, this feeling that we did life right. And so I think it's like the thing behind the thing behind the thing. And so what am I representing? Well, not to get too woo-woo, but energetically speaking, we're always talking about potential, right? And I think about potential energy and an energy that we're living in and through and creating with. And so, motherhood is a space for that. I mean, we kind of think about it as something other, but you make material, right? You create something. But how we use that energy elsewhere is, I mean, it's huge. And so I don't want people to lose sight of that, that inner, like, creation-based self. And so to be bigger. And so it feels bigger than motherhood in some ways, but I like having it contained through that lens, because it's a space I know well.
Absolutely. Your quality of creativity is, I feel, why you can speak so well on the topic of motherhood. And when you really think about a feminine virtue like creativity, it's definitely something that men have profoundly as well. But when you think about the ultimate act of creativity, of birthing, it is amazing to know that you channel your creativity in all aspects of your life. And you are also the creative director of your life. And so, as the creative director of your life and as a brilliant storyteller, what I'm curious to know is if you could, on the spot right now, be the narrator of your journey and really tell the story of what your mastery has been about, how would you tell that story?
Yes, I would say that mastery has been truly about that uncovering of the innate creative self. I think that our souls are here to express. And I think that underneath all the layers of not good enough, or my message isn't valid, or, I don't have enough expertise, or all these other messages that we get, we, I think that we can just find ourselves in this process of mastery. And I would say, like, your process was amazing, because for me, it was a process, a repeatable process. So I'll never forget when you spoke about initiatives, and, I guess, like, if you have to start somewhere, just an awareness initiative, right? Like, let's create awareness. Here I am, and I resurrected this joy of being seen. And I didn't even realize until that time that I had shied away from that to the degree that I had, right? And so rediscovering that was really joyful, as much as it was scary. And so, it's me kind of poking my head out, and then first being in a room by myself practicing, and then getting into a slightly larger room with my virtual mastery cohorts. And then it was like just kind of stepping over into the larger world. And so it's really it's occupying different size rooms, different size stages. Am I there to speak at an auditorium yet? No, but I suppose if I had to just do it by tomorrow, I could. And that feeling of I could is really thrilling to me. And so I think for me, the my journey with regards to how I thought I would use my coaching, right? And so I think, us IPEC people are very much like, okay, it's got to be this pure coaching experience. And it came through to me recently that, like, on some level, I'm to teach and to speak as well, right? And to create community. So, there's a lot of pieces to it. But I would say that really, my podcast just ended up being that place where I wanted to speak. And not to say I don't care about the rest, but I think that for me, establishing authority there is really what I'm about right now. And so I think the rest will follow.
It's really interesting how when you use the analogy of an auditorium, and when I'm observing you, I'm like, well, think about the World Wide Web and how extensive it is. The potential to connect on the World Wide Web is even larger than being in an auditorium, which is more confined. So I want to really recognize the potential impact that's possible as a result of the Ladies Like Us podcast. I'm going to share Ladies Like Us in a moment for people to tune in and hear a little taste of Ladies Like Us. When you brought up initiatives, though, I want to just share a piece of information and then ask you a question about it. When we learn about initiatives within the mastery program, we're learning about 3 different types of business initiatives. Awareness initiatives, which are really for the purpose of visibility so people can know who you are, what you do, why you do it. Impact initiatives, which are really to impact lives in the process of what you do, to serve through your initiative. And then lastly, income initiatives, which are acts of service where in return you make money. So it's looking at those 3 different types of initiatives and realizing we could do all of those in one. For you specifically with the Ladies Like Us podcast, what sort of initiative would you call it?
I would say impact. I think that I started out, just trying to create some awareness, but now it's like when I think energetically, I want to, spread that mission. And I'm really intentional. Like when I'm recording, I mean, I want someone to feel the energy of me, the me that's recording, but also have that transmute, like, over the airwaves, if you will. And so, yeah, and I think I had originally wanted to create like a group coaching program first, an income initiative, but I realized, and it's not that it has to be in this order, as we know, but it was so valuable for me to have those, have the awareness of these initiatives to kind of know where I'm in and like to purely occupy this impact initiative feels really good.
Definitely. It definitely builds upon itself where the awareness happens, then the impact happens, then the income happens. But for people like you who are really astute at doing all three, it can often be fluid where maybe it will be an impact initiative for one episode and maybe another episode you're building awareness for somebody who has never seen you before. So it's definitely a perspective of who is watching. And to give everybody that transmitting that she spoke of, we're going to play a couple minutes of Linda's Ladies Like Us podcast.
Hey, have you ever felt other because you're not a mother? Or wondered why motherhood and otherhood are the only defined options for womanhood? Want to feel whole no matter the fruit of your womb? Yeah, me too. It's time for a new paradigm. Are you ready? Welcome to Ladies Like Us. I'm your host, Linda Lysing. Join me as we swap those narrow definitions with real, diverse, and inclusive stories that dig into the full spectrum of mothering mojo, including motherhood missed, motherhood dissed. We're going to coach a little, empower a lot, ask the good questions, and massively celebrate life choices. So, whether you're childless, motherhood curious, ambivalent, child-free, or a self-defined mother of any kind, this space is for you. Sound good? Let's do it.
Wow. Linda, when that first came through, that writing for that opening, what was your muse or who was your muse? Oh, Linda, we don't see you.
Am I back?
You're back. Yep.
Yeah. And so I'm sorry, can you repeat the question?
Yeah. So it's just brilliant. The wording in the way that you expressed yourself in the opener of Ladies Like Us podcast. And I was curious, who is your muse?
That, that's such a good question. I was speaking with Sarah, who was my accountability partner, as we were kind of both working on our podcast. And one day I invoked this idea of a preacher, and and I thought about like just something about the idea of like a female reverend or just someone that can kind of just go for it. And so I channeled a part of myself that felt a little sassy and kind of just like, but what's funny is that whenever I feel a little like energetically not quite there, when I listen to my own intro, I get re-energized as if it's someone else. So
It's so powerful. It's just so beautifully expressed. In the closing of just this conversation right now, I'd love to hear what's something that you are working on in the here and now, and whether it's a tangible thing or if it's maybe just a vision that's becoming clear.
And I'm sorry, I think I'm having slightly technical difficulties.
Oh, I hear you.
Okay, great. Yeah, so I am working on an eventual group program, and I had different, because there's so many. This is a very diverse area, even as specific as it is that I'm working on. But I did receive really a great gift of a line from someone I interviewed for the podcast, which was healing my childless self. And so I thought maybe that might be a first pilot program to do as a group coaching initiative.
Amazing. It's the beauty of mastery. When you are in your mastery, you receive those inspirational moments, and it often then directs you to the next thing. And so I feel like we're always getting those signs on our roads, and it's really a matter of having our eyes open and being in the presence of people who are our muses, are the ongoing inspiration. So thank you for being a muse, Linda. And I am going to be putting you back in attendance and bringing up our next presenter, which is Neha.
Bye.
Bye. So as everybody's watching and you're curious what we're doing here, we are doing a mastery marathon. And it is about entrepreneurship in action. You're seeing entrepreneurs who have been mastering their entrepreneurship over the past year present on what's been going on in their businesses and what's been going on in their lives. So as I bring up the next person, Neha, I encourage anybody who's watching to share this. So if you're on Facebook right now, or even if you're here in our webinar and you're watching, go onto my wall, Julia Armet, and press the share button. The more people who are able to see this, the more that we're able to inspire and impact in the process. So as we bring up Neha, give me a moment. Neha Govil is the founder of Think Aloud Coaching. She is a culture strategist and belonging facilitator with over 15 years of experience partnering with businesses to design workplace cultures that are uniquely aligned to their values, people, and community. She partners with founders and leaders to design their legacy and implement cultures that are built to last. It's quite brilliant, and at the end of the day, it really takes the intangible quality of being the glue. And what I can say from experiencing Neha's presence in our mastery is she brings that interconnectivity, she brings that cohesion, and she does that through her way of expressing herself. A lot of the time through doodling. The doodling that she does is one of the beautiful testaments of her personal creativity. But for those who do not know Neha or have not experienced Neha, I do want to highlight some of the many milestones of Neha's past year. She's hosted over 150 participants in the workshops that she creates. She's launched group programs and services to scale her business. She's gone deeper into her personal why. And all in the process of doing that, she really spearheaded an initiative on Clubhouse for fellow coaches. Neha is very much involved in creating that interconnectivity in the Clubhouse sphere. And it's been just really cool to watch how your mode of self-expression has evolved, Neha. So I'm going to bring you up now. How's it going?
Hi, how are you?
I'm good. Thank you for coming.
Good. I am so glad to be here. I think it just, I love this, just this private conversation in public kind of feel. I'm glad we're doing this.
For sure. I know that there's so much to your impact in the world that's really hard to express with words. But for those who really feel you and experience you, they understand it. So, in the effort to put it into words, could you describe the spirit of Think Aloud?
I'm glad you said that because, for a really long time, like I was just trying to understand myself. It was one of those journeys that you take to yourself. And I realized that I absolutely love looking at myself from the lens of other people. And I gave myself the permission to kind of just surround myself with people who would give me that, who would sort of reflect that back. And it was interesting how that started to show up for me in my business as well. One day, like I was just sitting down and thinking about Think Aloud 2.0. And, in my first version of my business, it really was a reflection of where I was at my career and then how I wanted to transition some of that skill into being an entrepreneur. Um, but I think the more I think about it and the more I reflect on what is really the spirit of Think Aloud and what is the spirit that I bring to my work every day, I think it just comes down to kind of the five key values that I've identified for myself as I work. And very simply, it's about love. It's about how is it that we can spread the love. It's about teamwork. How is it that we feel like we belong to something that's larger than the sum of the parts? Um, it's about trust. It's about leaning on each other as a part of a community. It's about curiosity. It's about stepping into that 6-year-old self and keep asking why till you reach a point that you're tired of asking why or you're satisfied with the answer. And it's creativity. How do you stay in touch with your inner creator and keep doing something that is just dedicated to that creator that is within you?
It's definitely really rooted in the curiosity where the value leads to a question. And one thing that you've said, which I feel is just a powerful quote, you said, being an entrepreneur has taught me to ask better questions. So those questions, those are really good questions that you just posed for everyone to consider. I'm curious, what's a question that has impacted your journey?
So when I came to the mastery program, I think one of our earlier conversation, I think I sort of identified myself as a dreamer, and I would always be, and I am that, I dream, I doodle, I dream, I doodle, and then I just kind of stay in that circle. And I think just being in that space with you, with my cohort, I think I just intentionally asked myself, like, what is the next first step that I'm willing to take to turn my dream into a reality? And then just sit with that question.
The next first step, that's often the hardest step, to be able to initiate something. And sometimes it's a matter of really activating yourself. And so for you, as you think about moments of, let's say, not taking action and moments where it's up to you to find that deeper why, that deeper motivation, what do you personally call on to activate yourself?
Yeah, that's so interesting. So I look at myself as kind of staying in the world of inspiration and then coming from that to the world of reality. And I always looked at those two as kind of separate worlds where, you could be in one or the other. It seemed like very either or. But I stepped into asking myself and then staying with that thought of what does it look like to have both and? What does it look like to be in both the spirit of inspiration and yet being in that space of reality in terms of how can I make it tangible, accessible, share the experience of my own inspiration and what is it that I'm feeling in this moment. So it was a lot of practicing. It was a lot of, going through kind of the 8 weeks that we did together. That helped me sort of gradually step out of just being in that inspiration. And, you and I have talked about it so much that there are so many ideas and so little time. And so even to sit down and, have a bias a little bit towards one idea over the other and say, hey, I'm going to work on this one for a little bit and see how far that goes. And then literally just detaching from what the outcome is and yet having an objective in mind. And it's a little bit hard to understand that until you're actually in it. How do you detach yourself from the outcome yet keep your eyes on your vision? So I think that's been the part of which is like sort of been the hardest to understand. And now that I've understood that in my context, I still find it really hard to talk about it because I still don't know how to put that into words.
It's so powerful to even have an application. Like if we're looking at an example of Neha going into a workplace environment with this proposition that she's going to support them to create a legacy. And she has that really big undertaking as the facilitator to be the one to guide them on that journey. And so for you, in your mastery mindset, as you detach yourself from that outcome of giving them a legacy to have, or even to give them a culture that lasts, what do you tell yourself in that moment?
Yeah, that was also a hard one, just it came with the fact that like what is the title that I want to use, or how do I want to describe myself? And there isn't a word, and I mean, you got to have a title, but I think when I look at myself as that, I just see myself as, just remind myself of back in the day when you would do a science experiment and you'd have this container and a lot of things would go in it, and then you just wait and watch what happens. So I think I just see myself as that container, like literally my role. Um, and it's funny, even with my kids, in my personal life, I think when I changed myself, my mindset around um, my role as a parent, traditionally, to now I'm just this person who's holding this container, and my job is to kind of make sure that things don't go out of control, but also let every element be in its element. And what happens when these elements come together. So I just see myself as kind of just being in that container where all these experiences and experiments come together. And then yeah, that my only job is to make sure everybody's safe and comes out of that experience having learned something, having changed something, and inspired to just do more of what they committed to do.
For sure. It's so interesting how, if we even use the language of responsibility versus expectation, and we say, you're not just releasing expectation, but what you're really doing is releasing the responsibility that we often overtake for someone else's success. And when we consider what mastery is all about, we're each individually really here to be responsible for our own path with the knowingness that we impact those in our way. So if you were to consider the responsibility that you take on, the self-responsibility, as you look forward in your business, what is the self-responsibility that you are committed to as you look forward to what's to come in your business?
Oh, I think I'm keeping it like really open. And again, I'm just reminded of that one conversation that we had. I don't know, it was a year ago, maybe more. And I think I was in that mindset where I always told you, Julia, I think I see myself as more the one-on-one coaching kind of person. And that time that you planted that seed for me when you said, have you thought of what else could this be and what more could it be? And I think for me, like from there on to now, like I did not see myself as that person who was even um, co-creating a workshop, leave alone, leading some of these conversations or leading some of these experiences. So right now, in the space that I am in, I'm just opening myself up to more like happy adventures of creativity, of consciousness, and just just keep wearing like my Dora the Explorer hat and just go wherever this is going to go.
Incredible. Well, thank you for inspiring us with your perspective. I'm going to bring you back down to the attendees as we bring up our next presenter, Molly. So thank you so much, Neha.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks to everyone who's been listening. We are really enjoying being able to share who we are. So much of the time we feel in business it's up to us to talk about what we do, how we can be of service. When we get to the core of it, it's really about who are we as people? What are the beliefs that we have? What makes us unique? And often it's the uniqueness of who we are that is why people will want to work with us. So remembering that and remembering that everybody in the world could be doing the same thing every day. If we were all waking up in the morning and moving through the process of eating breakfast, for example, it's the uniqueness by which we do things, though, that will allow for us to really stand out, be different. And this next person, who is also a coach, is really embodying a different perspective when it comes to how she expresses herself. So I'm really looking forward to bringing up Molly. Let's get her set up here.
I used to bite my tongue and hold my breath, scared to rock the boat and make a mess. So I said quietly, I'll breathe politely. I guess that I forgot I had a choice. I let you push me past the breaking point. I stood for nothing, so I fell for everything.
Molly Summer is a feminine embodiment coach, and she supports the feminine to heal and reclaim their inner radiance by embodying their sovereignty, magnetism, and sacred sexuality. Her mastery journey this past year has opened her up to a higher purpose, which is guiding women into their sacred divine union. She works with you to create a deeper connection to the goddess within your heart and your body, and in the process, expand your connection to the world around you. Now, Molly has been on a journey herself, and over the past year, she's been rediscovering who she wants to be in business. I celebrate Molly for elevating her brand authenticity. She showed up so consistently on video over the past year, and we've watched her evolution. She's hosted monthly community meditations for women who are wanting to foster that deeper connection to the goddess within. And on top of that, she is making an impact internationally. She is coaching clients who are building that deeper connection to that sacred feminine energy within. And I look forward to Molly sharing a little bit more about what her vision is. So let us welcome Molly Summer. Hi.
Hi.
I love the background.
Oh, thank you.
Leading up to this, Molly and I have just been talking about that full circle that often happens in business. And it's definitely metaphorical. And yet at the same time, it's literal. And the language that you used is burning down the house. So, from that perspective of you burning down the house, let's meet you where you are. What's going on right now?
Yeah, I'm pregnant with creativity right now. Yeah. She's growing inside of me. She's, growing her fingers and toes, and her heart is beating. And every day she gets bigger, and I connect to her on a deeper level. And, when the day comes that she's ready to be birthed out into the world, it'll be time to release her. And yeah, it's just about embracing that process right now.
There's definitely an integration happening where you can feel this aspect of your identity coming through. And even hearing you talking about its birthing and even talking about the aspects of yourself and how you express it as she. Walk me through when you were able to recognize that integration was happening.
Well, it has not been an easy year for me. And, you know, I think Linda spoke to the resistance of the journey, the resistance of what was coming through. And I started receiving these messages last year. And I had just launched my latest creative endeavor. And all of a sudden I was receiving these messages about, you know, no, do this and go in this direction. And so I resisted a lot. And I came through this summer leaning into my own healing, leaning into releasing the fears and the masks, the shoulds, and the perceptions of how I should be showing up, to come into my authenticity. And when I did that, everything started to change. And there was no doubt, the energy was palpable and it was feminine. And it's just, it's coming back into the essence of who I am.
It's palpable. It's definitely palpable to feel the shift from this climbing mountains every day and this doing to this softening into presence, essence. And the way that you show up even right now is really reflective of the movement that you are creating. So if you're open to it, I'd love to share the screen and allow you to share a little bit more about what it is that you are birthing.
Absolutely.
Awesome.
So within each of us, we are all perfect expressions of the divine feminine. And through centuries of oppression and, you know, millennia and lifetimes of abuse and fear, the feminine has been quenched, shrunk, hidden. And I fully feel and believe that we are in this rising of the feminine. And the mother goddess is calling. I know she's been calling to me for a few years, and I've been leery of stepping into what she's been asking. And so I'm pregnant right now with this idea that we are all part of the earth, and this elemental goddess inside of us, she is how we move through the earth, through our lives. And this program that I'm going to launch in a couple weeks helps women to connect into that sacredness of themselves and understand who they are at that deepest of levels and embody that as they show up in their lives. So an example of this is the earth goddess. And when she's in alignment, she is radiant, abundant. She's secure and grounded in her truth. She's resilient. And she has that foundation of growth in a way that is not for this season, but for a lifetime. And she knows how to execute her success. But when she's out of alignment, it can be hard. She can be stubborn and unkept or envious. She can be the gold digger looking for somebody else to create that stability in her life because she has that sense of lack. And she's unable to focus on the long term because she's only able to see what's right in front of her. And this is just an example of one element. And we embody all four, but there is one that resonates deep within us that is born with us. And so the elemental goddess will help you align with yourself on that level.
Wow. The interesting thing, and I want to reflect this because um, it's such an expansive movement that's impacting humanity that's coming through you. And it is beyond potentially women. I feel like it's really about the feminine. And so when you look at the capacity of this movement to impact both men, women, and people who identify but outside of that binary, tell me more about the impact of this paradigm on the whole humanity.
Well, you know, like many of the ladies here today have spoken about, it's all about energy. It's not about the body you are living in. It's about the energy that flows from the divine, the masculine and the feminine. And a few years ago, I received a message that my purpose was to heal humanity through my womb, and that I was the mother of humanity. And I didn't understand it. And now I see that as the feminine heals, as we come into our bodies and heal our wombs and birth forth our own creativity, it creates the space and the presence for the masculine to heal as well. And so they come together in unison in that sovereignty. And it is a natural process. There is no forcing. When you move with pleasure, it just comes together. So in healing our own selves, we begin to heal and ripple out towards the rest of the world.
You're so eloquent in how you express this. When we talk business and when Molly expresses herself, what I want to highlight for anyone who has ever come from a purpose is our purpose is something that we can look at from the vantage point of what's in it for me, what's in it for you, and what's in it for us. We go through the litmus test on a purpose for anything, and we say, well, what would be in it for me? What would be in it for you? And what would be in it for us? Molly's story is the perfect example of when somebody comes from a purpose that benefits herself, that benefits the other, and that benefits the world at large. When you look at yours and you think about what's in it for you, what's in it for me, and what's in it for us, what is your answer to those three questions, Molly?
Well, what's in it for me is coming into my own sacred sovereignty, meaning I'm the person I'm going to be spending the rest of my life with. And I love myself unconditionally. And I can't wait to spend the rest of my life with myself. When I come from that place and show up every day in my relationships and my career and in my life with my children, I have more to give them, right? And I teach from that place. And I lead from that place in everything I do. And then when that happens, it's like a ripple effect. Each one of those people has permission to show up authentically as themselves in their own sovereignty. And then they go out and they teach everybody else. And it just becomes this magical wave. And so there's that, I think it was Rumi that said, a butterfly wing flaps on one side of the world and a tsunami happens on the other, right? And that's what this is all about. And everything starts within.
Strong, strong message. And in quite literal terms, when we think about, well, what's in it for you, not you, meaning you, but the audience. When we say, well, what's in it for the audience, Molly has a upcoming program that she just alluded to. So you could just share a little bit about that. It would be awesome.
Well, it's going to honor the cycles of the feminine. So it's something that I've never truly put together before. It's 3 weeks, 3 weeks, and 3 weeks. So a total of 9 weeks, which is a birthing number. It's a number of completion. And each moon cycle is a week to go within and to honor and to release. And so it not only honors the individual, but it honors the cycles of each individual. And it allows each woman, each feminine, to come into that harmony for themselves. And we will move from the self and into the ripple that is created.
Amazing. The reality is so much of our growth happens within, like you said, and sometimes in that incubation, we don't really see exactly what's happening until it is birthed. So for those of you who don't follow Molly, I would suggest friending Molly Summer on Facebook, because she shares her impact every day. It's beautiful to watch. I want to thank you, Molly. And right now, as we prepare for just our final presenter, myself, I'm going to bring up everybody else on this stage, and we're going to have a conversation where everyone will have the opportunity to ask me anything. And I'm really just excited to be put in this position to receive. It's exciting to be in a place now where I'm open to sharing a little bit more of what I've been up to since we came together last September. So as we get everybody here, let's set the mood.
I take 9,000 memories on the road with me, so we never forget. It's been a good year, it'll be a long day before we lay our heads down to rest. And if those tears come rolling down, I'll pull you close to me, say we'll be back there again. Won't be a long
My name is Julia Armet, and I am the founder of Higher Playbook, a platform for the next generation of visionary leaders to rehumanize how we work. I partner with global brands and entrepreneurs for business building and special projects, creating space for our unique identities, talents, and abilities within our professions. And through deepening that connection to who you are and one another, our work and our impact becomes inseparable. To get here to this moment where I am joined by individuals who are my friends, individuals who I've had the honor to impact, took a lot of inner work. What I want to be honest about is this past year for me has been really more individual than anything. While this collective here is here with me right now, this past year was a moment in time where I took the space to really reconnect to who I am as an individual. And during that time, I was really questioning what would happen when I let go of the collective power that was standing side by side with me. I was curious who I was without that. I was curious what would happen when I was left to really look at myself. And in that, I was able to reconsider how I wanted to show up and share with the world. I've been rebranding Higher Playbook over the past year, and in that, creating team programs and projects to foster a sense of purpose within our workforce at large, to really create impact and action through the projects that we do together. And along the way, I've also been doing what I've always done, supporting visionary entrepreneurs one-on-one and in groups to experience more of who they are, and in doing so, embody the impact that they can create through their work. I'm really happy that all of you have said yes to joining me here today. And I'm also very blessed to see both Marianne and Hannah in attendance, who are also in our mastery program. Right now, I would love to just open up the floor and allow for everyone here to ask me questions.
Should we just go in order of how we went from the top?
Whoever feels called to share, go for it.
All right, I have a question. One thing I really learned from you throughout this journey is that mastery it's not an achievement, it's an ongoing process. And I think that for a lot of us, this was me, but I think a lot of other people feel this way. I don't know what's going on with my lighting, I'm sorry. But a lot of people feel this way, is that mastery is something that you have to achieve. So a lot of people hold back from following their dreams or becoming an entrepreneur because they don't feel like a master yet. So I was wondering if you could just kind of speak to that, that definition that we put on mastery versus the definition that you see, and how can a person recognize their mastery now in a way that gives them permission to move forward at this moment without waiting?
Very profound. It's, for me, a matter of character. For me, mastery is about every day examining who I am and how I'm showing up in the world. And in that character development, there's so many different arenas for me to express myself, whether it's through my work, whether it's through my friendships, whether it's through my relationships. And it's that presence of being able to say, okay, I am totally aligned with my values. I am totally aware of what's influencing my decision-making right now. And it's that hyper awareness and even hypersensitivity to the vision of who I know myself to be. And so in that sort of guiding principle of knowing what I stand for, knowing who I am, there's a pathway. And that's the journey that I call mastery.
I love that.
What was the second part of the question? Just because I really want to fully answer.
I was just saying, how can a person recognize, just, anybody recognize the master within themselves, or the mastery, rather than shifting from that definition of, we need to be a master, I need to have some kind of credentials or, a certain amount of experience. And, it often causes us to look around and see other people that we feel have more experience or more credentials. Just speaking to that, to free people up from that definition and allow them to step into their own mastery right now without waiting for an education or a certain amount of experience, any of that.
Totally. The only person who is an expert at your identity is you. We are experts in our identities. We are masters in who we are. And that means whatever you create, however you demonstrate your skills and your talents in the world, you are already yourself, and no one else can be you. Being the expert at who you are is really what we've been given. We've been all been given the unique combination of DNA that we've been given. And so I feel like, especially when you do something uncharted that you haven't seen before, or maybe anybody in your family hasn't been able to demonstrate it, and you have generational patterns that stop you in your tracks, what I would say is, if it's never been done before, you don't even have to live up to anything other than to express yourself freely, express yourself in alignment with what you feel called to share. And I feel like when I've shared that with anyone who's experienced imposter syndrome, to say, if it's never been done before, what is there really to live up to? It's definitely been something freeing, and created the shift into that mastery mindset.
And would you say that anyone could adopt that, in the sense of like, anything that you're trying to do hasn't been done before? You may see somebody doing something similar, but it hasn't been done the way you could do it.
I feel like being able to give yourself creative license is at the foundation of mastery, to say, oh, well, here is how I feel authentically called to do this. Building a business is the perfect playing field. You have so many moments where you get to make decisions. And so honoring your own creative license and experiencing if it works based on your measures of success, or if it doesn't work. That's the journey of mastery. And every time you fall down, you'll get back up again. That's mastery. It's not necessarily about hitting those highs, but it really is that discipline to get back up after you fall.
I love how you keep getting back into the arena. So, Julia, I was wondering, so we all know it's not just what we do, but it's who we are. And you speak of rehumanizing our work selves, which I love that. I love that concept. And so I'm curious, what was it like for you personally, this rehumanization process?
Totally. We talk about burning down the house and the idea of disintegration and the idea of dehumanization. Those concepts are personal to me. When it comes to the dehumanization that I've personally experienced through just moments in my life of feeling like I wasn't human, feeling like I was treated like I was just somebody who played a part or a function, or moments in my life where I felt as though I didn't even know who I was anymore, and just feeling like, who am I really?
Mm-hmm.
It's been those moments where it took so much tender loving care. It took so much grieving and so much processing and so much reconnecting in the presence of people who could hold that space for me. And I feel like that pathway of being able to connect so deeply to the things that hurt the most, if it weren't for that, I wouldn't understand the meaning of rehumanization. And so when I say to rehumanize, it's coming from experience of recognizing what happens when our human values and virtues are not honored, and why it's important to create the space to celebrate our unique qualities, celebrate our unique talents, create space to bring our gifts to the table. So that's really in a literal way of what I mean when it comes to rehumanizing, to recognize who we are and honor each other in the spaces where we live, work, and play.
Thank you. That was beautiful. It was good to know the extent of your why and how you're projecting out this initiative to rehumanize. It goes so deep and into the entirety of your being. So thank you for illuminating.
Thank you for amazing question, Linda.
Yes, that was a good one. I do have a question. I just want to also affirm that definitely it's through our lows that we get to, I think it's the hardest thing to go through when we are in the lows. At the same time, it's like we get to feel places and therefore understand more people and be more humane and empathic in a way, have empathy for others in much deeper way than we would ever have if we didn't have these low moments. But again, they're hard to go through. I have to keep reminding myself, oh, this is the experience of, this is what happens when somebody goes through this. This is how it happens. This is how it feels. And this, I think, creates oneness, because now I can relate and I can know, oh, this is similar. It's not just me. You know, my community is having this similar experience as me. And then obviously more, the whole world is having the same experience. But I have a question that is on a personal note to you. And I am really curious, when you see a group like us a year later, and all talking about our own experiences, which is the result of taking the mastery in an intimate way together and with you, what is it that's beyond you that can't stop you, that you know with a conviction is your gift and you need to spread it, despite everything else that you might have been working on this year? I don't know what you exactly were working on. I mean, what would this do to sum it up for you?
There's a term of endearment that Patricia, whose birthday is today, happy birthday, Patricia. She uses this term a lot to describe my impact in the world. And she says, Julia's web of connection. And when I hear that, it just reminds me of what I'm most proud of, which is the ability to hold the space so that other people can shine, and the ability to draw the lines and always be drawing those lines so that everybody can keep strengthening their connections to one another, strengthening their connections to the world. And so I feel like, as somebody who's both super spiritual and super practical, what I can say about my gift is I'm constantly drawing those connections to make sense of this matrix that we live in. And in doing so, what I know is sometimes the lines that I see that no one else has yet to see, it's up to me to keep drawing those lines, because as time passes and we either reconnect or people go out on their own and do their own thing, we're actually able to see how our work in the world has come together. So that's what is so amazing about this moment, that makes me so excited to see that although we've had our own individual paths over this past year, our lines have really strengthened so that collectively, when we go out in the world together in a moment like this, we're able to have that really united impact, which is inspiring other entrepreneurs, inspiring other businesses to bring more of who they are to their work. But yeah, it's an honor. It's an honor to be able to share that gift.
Connecting the lines. Thanks.
Great question.
So I'm just curious, Julia, because I know that you sort of, and we've all experienced that. I think a huge part of your brand is the collective experience that you create for the participants, and then the collective experience that everybody ends up creating for their audiences. So what was it that inspired you to kind of step into that space of solitude? And what was it that within you, you thought that the answers are now going to come not from just being in this space of collective, but being in that space of solitude?
It was definitely a matter of confronting my tendency as a codependent and my knowingness that I have the experience of being a collective identity. I'm an identical twin, and a big part of my own self knowingness, my own self construct, my own self construct is based around my impact on another, my relation to another, and being able to say, okay, is this codependency or is this my purpose? Is this collective that I have coming from a space of needing people to be around me? Or is this coming from the truth of what my purpose is? And in the process, in recognizing what is codependency, really, what I realized was it's interconnectivity. And so in that ability to reframe, to realize I am okay on my own. I am totally empowered, capable, and accomplishing what I want to accomplish as an individual. but I'm not fulfilled without the interconnectivity of a group of people where we can each play our part in creating the impact together. So I definitely will say the solitude was what I was looking to have as a way of delving deeper into who I am and what I'm really here to do. And I discovered so much about just myself, along with what it means to be connected.
I think I speak for everyone that we're excited to see the next phase of evolution. And so, yeah, we look forward to seeing what you share with us. Thank you for that.
Well, I know Molly's going to want to ask a question, but I'm excited to show you something. So if you guys want to see a little bit more of what's in store, I'm going to share something right now just to give you a preview. Let's try it again.
Every new day presents a gateway between the world that you know and a new world where business leaders operate from a higher purpose. Social connection and contribution are the drivers of our human evolution. And while we've been going faster for decades, we're now being called in another direction. To go deeper in developing the human qualities essential to our future success, this conscious generation of leaders are directing their focus to the next area of mastery. Our shared spaces, real, virtual, and imagined, are where we return to a sense of place and reconnect to who we are as people. Higher Playbook was founded to rehumanize how we work by creating third spaces for professionals to unlock their human potential and experience the power of connection. We support global brands and entrepreneurs to make their work and impact inseparable. And for you to recognize your unique talents, build relationships around shared aspirations, and contribute to the betterment of our society. It's time you felt deeply inspired by your work in the world and connected to your everyday impact. You're invited to step through the gateway where work, life, and contribution become one.
Just a preview.
That was amazing. Super excited about it.
Thank you.
Blown away by your phrase, make your work and impact inseparable.
Thank you.
Yeah, hearing it again, kind of like I was alluding to being inspired by my own mission statement. I love that. Hearing it a second time, I'm hearing even more. And I think it's something as a touchstone to go back to over and over. It's perfect.
Definitely an anchor. And it's really for me to look at not just my impact within groups of people who have their own individual businesses, but really the teams, and knowing that when teams are united by one mission, and then how the extra space to get to know every individual on that team can allow for the people on that team to more deeply appreciate one another, feel more valued, and then naturally work better together. Going out in the world together and also creating those impact projects. What I know is all of us can do that as people who have our lines of connection, but especially for teams who are already connected, to be able to go out in the world and live your impact is something that I feel more and more people in this generation are going to prioritize within the places that they decide to work. So I'm definitely just feeling extremely aligned and just grateful for the space to be able to uncover more of what I'm here to do.
I think it's absolutely wonderful and amazing. And this whole event today has just been so symbiotic in how it flows together. And I didn't have a question until just now. Because living this path is so important to you, and what you've gone through was so impactful for you. I'm curious, what have you learned and are implementing to make this new path a lifetime journey, not just a seasonal one for yourself?
The virtue of patience. The virtue of patience is something that I've given lip service to. And I feel like learning to embody that and being okay in the absence, and being okay in the cocooning, and being okay in that process. I feel like embodying patience and realizing that we're on this earth for as long as we're on this earth, but rather than going fast, why not slow down and go deeper, and really go deeper and pay attention more, be more attuned. So patience, not just with myself, patience with the world, patience on all levels is definitely the virtue that I feel like I am mastering now and mastering every day.
That's so beautiful. Just want to acknowledge you for embodying that beautiful feminine radiance that you are shining forth and leaning into. It's really, really nice.
Thank you so much. I want to thank all of you for joining me today on short notice. For those who are watching, I said to the ladies less than 2 weeks ago, probably like 13 days ago, would you want to join me to do a mastery marathon on September 15th, the date that we did it last year? And everybody said yes. So I'm really, really so pleased to see how effortlessly we came together for this and just trusted the process and showed up. Thank you for showing up and sharing to everybody in attendance as well, especially for this whole time. Those of you who have been here this whole time, really appreciate you just being a witness to the work that we're doing in the world. To share a few final notes, for anyone who's inspired by mastery and you would like to connect on how this could look for your work, you can email me at julia@higherplaybook.com, and we can discuss a little bit more of who you are and really the vision that you have for your work in the world. From there, for those of you who are interested to learn more about the Impact Collective, which will be launching soon, so that you are in a container for people like us to come together on a twice a month basis to really support each other, recognize each other, learn more about what we're working on, and support each other. We're about to relaunch the collective, and I'm looking forward to it. So if you are looking to be a part of it, email me as well at julia@higherplaybook.com, and I'd be happy to share more on what our conscious community is all about. It's really a moment where I know together we're going to be doing a lot more in 2022 in the real world. And I look forward to be able to facilitate these social experiences in the online space and in the real world, where we can really live and breathe our impact in action. I'm super, super looking forward to seeing what everyone else is birthing as well. And as we close out our call today, a reminder as we step into a new season to move with it, that we are all in co-creation with the world around us. Trust the process and dance with it, move with it. Everyone here so beautifully embodies that philosophy, the mastery that it takes to be human. We all do it in every day of our lives. I thank you all. I thank you all for being beautiful humans who bring so many values and virtues to the table. I will see you all soon.